Welcome back to the Making Sense of Money podcast, presented to you by P1FCU, where we tackle all the financial topics that matter the most to you. I'm your host, Tanis, and today we have Jesse Broyles, owner of Vintage Traditional.
Thanks, Tanis.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
We were discussing some of your wonderful scents that I'm smelling right now, and they smell wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you got started with craft perfumes? I mean, what a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique thing around here.
Yeah.
Me and my dad and my mom and my sister, we lived in Lewiston for a few years in the mid-'80s, and then we moved to Nez Perce.
Oh, yeah.
After I was probably 4 or 5. Mom and dad split up. So then me and dad and my older sister, Jerry Ann, we moved to Nez Perce and started our life there. Yeah, really the genesis of Vintage started in Nez Perce. And then there's kind of a 2-part beginning of how I started making perfume. But the story is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You share it.
Well,
Let's hear it.
Growing up in Nez Perce, my dad was a bartender and a single dad. And so he would work really crazy hours. And so my older sister, Jerry Ann, she really had a huge part of my childhood.
Oh, I bet.
And so growing up that way was challenging, but it was also now like it just makes me humble, it makes me thankful, for her, but also just created kind of who I am. And so when I kind of started getting older, my dad would smoke cigarettes in the house. And we didn't have a dryer. We were pretty poor. And so all of my clothes would dry through cigarette smoke.
Oh.
And, that's not such a bad thing when you're really little, but once you start getting into like junior high, you start caring more about, maybe what girls think, trying to fit in. And so I would always try to mask the smell of the cigarette smoke. And it's not that tobacco, resinous, sweet vanilla tobacco that I use in some of my perfumes. It was the really sharp, kind of gross tobacco, obviously. So, so the second part to that was I split firewood. We have a wood stove, and I split firewood while I listened to vintage Christmas music.
Oh.
Specifically like Dean Martin and, the Elvis and the Rat Pack, the classics, the old classics. And I just remember I was swinging the axe and I was super tired. So I sat down on the porch and I pulled my phone out and I just Googled Dean Martin. And the first thing that pops up is this interview with Dina Martin, his daughter. And she was, I think at the time, in her late 60s, because she's, I think, in her mid-70s now. She still performs. She's still very active. And they interviewed Dina and they asked her, what do you remember most about your dad? And I was just like, whoa, that's kind of a heavy question.
Yeah.
And I'm reading it, and she says, I remember lots of good things about my dad, but one of the greatest things I remember about him was just how good he smelled. And I tell you what, that hit me like a ton of bricks.
I bet it did.
Brand new dad, and all these just aha moments like, I want that kind of legacy for my own self. And so I'm hooked. I'm reading this interview, and I'm like, well, I want to know what cologne he wore.
Yeah.
And so he wore this fragrance called Wood Hue by Fabergé. And so I immediately stop reading the article and I go and I look up Wood Hue by Fabergé. Well, I find out that it's been discontinued for 50 years.
Dang it.
Well, 40 years. And I was like, oh no. So really at that moment, I started to just go down this rabbit hole of, okay, well, what did other celebrities and other people, iconic people, wear for fragrances? So it went on for about a year, and I couldn't figure out, where I fit in there. And finally, I told my wife, I was just like, well, I'm just going to make my own then.
Nice.
And learn the skill and the art of perfumery and, the chemistry behind it. And the safety, regulations, and first of all, it's got to be safe.
Right.
And then once you make it safe, it has to smell good.
Yeah.
And so pretty easy, right?
Yeah. Right. I was going to say, I'm sure it's so easy to just put all that together.
Yeah.
Gosh. Well, and smelling it too. It's like, it's so unique because it's like almost giving like essential oil in a way, or like.
Oh, we use essential oils.
Okay. Because it doesn't smell like harsh perfumey, like the alcohol-y perfumey smell. It's like very, very clean.
Some of the ones that I make are very full throttle, in your face, dark. Some of them are extremely radiant.
Yeah, but you have to, right? Because there's some people who just absolutely love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Gosh, that's a cool story. Really cool story.
Yeah, I get asked it a lot.
Yeah.
Dean Martin.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
Do you think that like this passion is gonna, bleed into your kids? And like this story is just so cool. I mean, how could it not? Do you want them to kind of follow this path?
Yeah, I do. It's hard with a 9, 7, and a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
In the house, and they want to have so many things to do with it. They want to be involved. They want to make perfume. They all three have their own perfumes. So it's been awesome. Erica has her own. Actually, it's funny. It's right here. We made Gala together. Actually, this served as her date night fragrance for a long time. So she would get lots of compliments on this, like, what are you wearing? And she would look at me and she goes, well, my husband made it for me. And this was before, we had an LLC. This is before we went, full tilt on it. And probably 3 years into that, I looked at her as like, Erica, do you want me to, I said, well, how would you feel if I marketed this and branded this as a product? And she was like, and I was like, I get it. I know. Like it would be weird other people wearing a fragrance that's so close to our hearts.
Sure. Right.
And then at one point it was almost like we both looked at each other and like, okay, we have to let this go. Yeah. We have to let it go so that other people can experience it.
For sure.
So it was pretty awesome that way. So now it's part of our product lineup, and we keep growing. And
I love the stories behind the fragrances. I think that's really cool. Having like, the kids having their own scents, and then, this was like her perfume. Yeah. Like it should be named her name. Like that would be so cool.
We talked about that. She's like, no, that would be weird. That's just too weird.
I guess. What are you wearing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of self-expression in your fragrances. Yeah. And, you expressed a little bit and shared a little bit about your childhood and kind of what it was like being in that split household. Well, really just with your dad. Right. How does that reflect kind of your mindset on like pricing for these perfumes? Because they're they smell very luxury. Like,
thank you.
Yeah. Where's your self-expression when it comes to that?
So one of the things that we wanted to do was just to make sure anybody can get into our brand and not be separated by cost. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I've been able to do is keep my overhead basically to zero. I'm the only employee. Mm-hmm. And so with that, it gives me a lot of freedom, and it reduces my cost to, the lowest that it really possibly could be. Right. When I should have brought it in, the very beginning stages of our business, the bottles did not look like this. They were very minimalistic, and I just wanted to do a minimalistic branding. It was very minimalistic, and I just said I wanted to put all the effort, all the money into the juice itself, into the experience. Yeah. And what I found was I made the exact same perfume, one in one bottle, fancy bottle. Actually, it was kind of like this, and then the other bottle was very minimalistic, same concentration, same perfume. And I did a blind test with like 20 of my friends, and I want to say 18 out of 20 people chose the bottle that was the fancy bottle, even though it was the exact same perfume. They said, "Ooh, this is nicer. This is better. Smells
so
better."
Funny.
They would go through notes. You could see it in their body language, all the nonverbals. And at that point, I had to make a really hard decision that, what I thought I knew, I had no idea how important the actual image of the company is.
Right.
The clicks, the
magnetic caps. Yeah, that's really cool.
All of that just goes into it. And so back to the pricing, I really, really try hard to keep the prices as low as I can while still keeping the prices, to where I can stay in business. Because this isn't my 9 to 5 is, I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And so, which, allows me to kind of invest in this and not go into debt and stuff like that. But I do get some blowback from my prices as they are. But I think once people realize what they're getting, they kind of step back and say, oh, okay, I get that now. That's why that's $100 as opposed to, $50 or something like that. So,
well, and the way I look at it too is you're supporting the story of a little boy who, I think that's so cool.
For sure.
Absolutely. When you first started this, obviously having a family, it couldn't be easy, with long nights and trying to turn a hobby into something that's, profitable and sharing with the community. What was that like for you?
Well, I have an amazing wife.
I was going to say
100%. None of this would be possible without her. If you go to my website, she's listed as the support queen.
Oh my gosh, I love that. What about your biggest challenges in starting the business? I know trial and error. I mean, that's kind of is what it is. But what would you say in the grand scheme, your biggest challenge?
If I could, identify one of the biggest challenges, it was the pursuit of perfection. And if, anybody's out there listening or, watching or whatever, if I could just reach into the camera, someone who might be trying to or thinking about starting a business and they don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
You know what? Start where you are.
Right.
And, you have to create a logo. You have to create the name of the business. You have to create the branding. And I sat in a completely paralytic state of mind for probably 3 years. Once I realized this could be something. And, I didn't have a logo. The logo is a bull that my grandfather killed in 1954.
Oh, wow.
Above the North Fork Mountains in Idaho here. And I grew up as a boy, the bar that my dad worked at, that bull was mounted on the wall growing up. And so I didn't, the identity of the brand, where do you even create the identity as a logo?
Yeah.
What are you going to call it as a name? All these questions were just super paralyzing.
Yeah.
And so I just started to tackle one problem at a time.
It's just so thoughtful, and your story, everything has an inspiration, which is really cool. It's not a lot of businesses can necessarily say that. Small business owners probably more so, but that's just really cool. How do you balance creating enough products to meet demand?
So one of the things that I do is I create small batches and I keep them small so that I can keep quality high. I'm the only man working. Yeah. And so once I sell out, and I'm just upfront about that. And my customers are extremely patient with me. They will wait months for the new batch to come out. But at the same time, they shouldn't have to wait months. But sometimes it happens. But I think again, it goes back to the reason sometimes it takes so long is because I get a lot of my raw materials from out of the country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. New Zealand, okay. I get a lot of them from all parts of the world.
Yeah.
And I also try to keep it to where it's also, somewhat local, but yeah, that's a good question. It's definitely not easy.
Yeah. But it's important to you to maintain the integrity of like your product, your inspiration, dialing it back to your relationships and everything.
Yeah.
Which that's what you're supporting. That's what, customers and consumers are supporting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how have you been able to get your name and product out there, having a full-time job and family? Where do you go? Do you go to like craft fairs or?
Yeah. I like going to craft fairs, and that's the best way to meet people and to just share this crazy story.
Yeah.
And Erica is with me, so like the two of us are there, and we just start talking to people.
Yeah.
And then word of mouth around here is, how do I say, a very efficient thing. Yeah. People talk. And so this is a reflection of me. It's got my name all over it. And this town is, the consumers around here are very smart.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes business owners they underestimate that, the value of making someone feel important, making them feel like their business is appreciated.
Right.
And so that's why I do craft fairs, because I don't have a storefront.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So much intention. I love it. My last question for you is a question we ask everybody, and that is, what is one thing you wish you would have known about money earlier in life?
That's a good question. My relationship with money for a long time was not good, just because of how I was raised.
Sure.
But I would not change one single thing. I would place less value in it if I could, and put more value in my time.
Yeah.
Time is everything. Now, I will say, P1FCU has allowed me a lot of freedom in my life. We've used P1FCU since the very beginning of our mortgage, all of our cars. I have an epic story about how I bought, and actually my car right there, I surprised my wife. I called up the Southway branch.
Oh, awesome.
And I said, I want to buy a car. And they said, okay, VIN number, where's it at? How can we help? And I said, I'm going to do this on the phone. I'm at work. My wife thinks I'm at work. I'm going to shut the surveillance system off at my house. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to switch cars out, and I'm going to drive over, and I'm going to buy this car. And so then we coordinated with the Grangeville branch, and we did this covert thing over the phone, sight unseen. I knew that's cool, because she had picked it out the day before, and she goes, oh my goodness, I want this car. I want it. And I was like, we can't afford it. And, all the things. Well, I slept on it, and I was like,
she deserves it.
She deserves it. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
With our growing family.
For
and
sure.
So P1FCU has been amazing when it came to ever needing anything, a phone call away. I honestly never had to go into the branch to really do anything.
Wow.
And so I would say, in relation to that question, money's not everything, and it really isn't, but people who manage it for you, there's value there.
Of course. Yeah.
And they've helped me, and all of you have helped me along my journey, directly and indirectly. So
awesome.
Huge appreciation there.
We love to hear that. Those testimonials are, it's all the good things about why we do what we do. So super awesome stories. Well, thank you so much for sharing everything about, your story as a child, your inspirations into this great product of yours. And it's really great. And I'm excited to smell some more. So
for sure.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you to everybody for tuning in. We hope you learned something new today and feel one step closer to making sense of money. Don't forget to subscribe and check out our newsletter at p1fcu.org. We'll see you next time.